Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is Mavericks #1 superfan Josh Finney.
Oh, God, I don't want to talk about the fucking Mavericks right now.
If it makes you feel better, the Browns are on.
Ugh, I'm so upset.
I
don't know who is having a worse time right now.
It's almost the fourth quarter, and it is 5-3. Oh, man. Hi, Josh. We have a lot of Destiny to talk about.
We have a lot of Destiny to talk about. We're going to skip the normal banter, which is really good because I just got sent something that actually made my skin crawl that I would probably address normally.
Oh, is this something you need to type in the chat so I can see what it is?
No. So a friend of a mutual acquaintance of ours sent me something. There's a very well-known leaker on Twitter who leaks things about MCU projects all the time, and they're more accurate than not. Well, they've decided they're going to leak something about the next Sony-made movie. Supposedly, it's a live-action Jack and Daxter movie with Tom Holland as Jack and Chris Pratt as Daxter.
I've heard that rumor before, and I thought it was
disgusting.
Fake.
That's disgusting. I hope it's fake. That's disgusting. My only response was one word, and it's ew. In fact, I'm gonna close that Twitter because this person's gonna message me back, and I'm gonna be very upset. Corey, there's so much Destiny.
I know we got a lot.
There's
of
so much here. I'm thinking of okay. Wow, yeah. So tonight we got to talk some Schwab. We got to talk the Dev Insights blog about weapons previews, including the bayonet on Monte Carlo.
Dude, you don't know how excited I am.
Oh, dude, the animation looks so good, and then. We got a lot of listener questions, but I want to start at the top of the show.
Hold on. Are we going to talk about the 2 or 3 teaser trailers they put out or no?
No.
I mean, I guess we could talk about the Witness's unusually large eyeballs again, but
yeah, I'm good with waiting until Tuesday. When we get the full thing. There's more information coming out tomorrow, which means we're probably getting a full teaser tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And there is a whole blog about the artifact coming out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. By the time you're listening to this, it may or may not be live. It'll probably go live around noon Central. Mm-hmm. The blog will. We're not going to break it down, obviously, on this week's episode. And it will not be on the next episode. The next episode is going to be talking just showcase reactions. We will cover it on Thursday.
Yes.
Next Thursday, we'll break it down. The artifact will already be in the game by then. We'll know how some of these mods work. That is when I plan to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
cool.
We have to start at the top of the show, though, with Joe Blackburn's completely unexpected video on Tuesday.
Can I say something before we dive into this real quick?
You can, because I got to pull up notes.
What a refreshing surprise that was.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, obviously nobody expected to see it. I just kind of showed up on our timelines.
Yeah.
This is the kind of communication that we've seen in the past from Bungie. Not necessarily spur of the moment videos, but just honest, clear communication. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the pillars he talks about. So he talks about in it, he has a couple pillars. PvP, armor, and comms are really the 3 pillars of what he talks about in here. Yeah. And I guess we'll just end showcase. So really there's 4 pillars holding this thing up. We're going to go through it in order. I took a bunch of notes. Anything noteworthy I took down, wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. Bungie also, it should be noted, they have basically a TLDR of the video up on their website. I chose to go with my own notes for this versus theirs. I did expand on some things, whereas they did not.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. The obvious, the showcase is Tuesday.
Yes.
Tuesday the 22nd. So we're about 4 or 5 sleeps away. He says the showcase is focused and it was recorded a while ago. It is not a reaction to the state of the game post from a few weeks ago. He jokes that he has a mustache in it still. He's clean shaven now.
Yeah.
It's very alarming to see Joe without the mustache.
Dude, he looks like he's about 15 years old.
Oh, dude, it looks bad. It looks like my man looks like he's going through puberty and it has not been kind to him. He says the final shape is a focused release, not about a lot of new systems or themes. They want they want to create an experience for anyone who's ever played Destiny to be able to fall in love with the content there. The showcase will not be focusing on quality of life changes. The focus is going to be on the story, the location, and some of the live service changes that are coming post final shape. I want to stop there for a second. There's been a lot of concerns about that particular phrase right there, the live service changes. I've seen some people speculate that they think that maybe that could hint at a subscription model or like some cloud-based content. I don't really know what to expect here because it could be a changing to the pricing structure. It could be a change to how seasons are going to be distributed. Do we ditch seasons in favor of the mini expansions? We have a bunch of questions about those tonight, actually, from the community. While we're talking showcase, Ronnie writes in.
Ronnie!
We love you, Ronnie. He writes in and he goes, I know you guys have touched on in the past, but my question is, with Bungie changing how the story lore goes, aka Veil Containment, and how we, the whole Destiny community, want to see the seasonal model change, do you think going back to big expansion, so think Forsaken, then minor expansion, think Warmind, then maybe seasons along with minor expansion is the way to go? It would be a compromise of both worlds, players who want all things up front and players like myself who don't mind the drip feed of storytelling throughout the weeks. So first off, if you're going to go big expansion then small expansions, I think seasons are done.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have mini expansions like Warmind or House of Wolves or something like that and also have seasonal storytelling. I think that would be a mess.
Yeah.
To me, I think that I would like to see it. What I would ultimately like to see is a return to the Forsaken season pass. So for those of you who don't remember, we had a beefy expansion in Forsaken, probably one of the beefiest ones we've ever gotten. Okay. It's like that and the Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Right. So you got that, and it technically had a season with it. That release is actually season 4, Season of the Outlaw. And then you got 3 real expansions throughout the year. You got the Black Armory, which dropped in the fall. I remember when that dropped, like November, December-ish, maybe. You got Season of the Drifter, aka Joker's Wild, dropped in the spring. And then you got Season of Opulence, which carried us through to the release of Shadowkeep, which dropped in late May, early June. All 3 of those expansions were pretty decently sized, I would say. I do think that we give a little bit too much credit to Black Armory and Season of the Drifter in terms of the content.
Yeah.
But Opulence, I think, is like the ideal size that you want for a season. In my opinion, if you're going to go for something that's a mix of like mini expansion and season, like you probably want it to be a little bit beefier than that. You want it somewhere between, I think, like that and a Warmind. Like if you're going to go for mini expansion, it has to be beefier than Warmind, I think.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best of those 4 mini expansions that they did. Warmind was a pretty decent era for a lot of us. We came back into Destiny. There was a new destination. We got Whisper of the Worm in it. We got several new strikes. We
Escalation Protocol.
Escalation Protocol. You got a raid layer with it. You got a lot of other content. My suggestion would be that I do think that we're going to see changes to the season pass. Because if you're talking live service changes, I can't imagine anything like beyond that you would want to address that day that is so critical for us to address other than a change to the season pass. I guess would also help solve the problem of, well, you got to celebrate the 10th anniversary next year somehow. Are you really going to ask us to pay for another content drop on top of what we're already paying for with the game, with the season pass, with the dungeon keys? Are you really going to ask us to fork out another $30 again and fragment the player base even more?
Yeah. I mean, would you put it past them though? I mean, they charged for the 30th anniversary thing.
The 30th anniversary for me was fine because they weren't charging for dungeon keys. And I think we all understood that was a one-off thing.
Yeah.
But seeing as how they did a 30th anniversary celebration for Bungie, there's no way they're not going to do a pack for 10th anniversary of Destiny.
Yeah.
And I would expect that to be like the final bits of D1 content brought forward. That would line up perfectly with a reprised raid release. You would have the opportunity to bring a couple more strikes forward, maybe some more multiplayer maps. I do suspect there is something he talks about in PvP that I suspect is going to be lined up with that same time frame.
Yeah.
it's kind of a perfect opportunity, in my opinion. And I think you would be able to bring forward, similar to how we got several sets of armor with the 30th anniversary. Maybe you have an opportunity to refresh the D1 raids with that Age of Triumph armor.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that's the start of Age of Triumph for D2. Because they've made it really clear over the last couple of weeks, hey, the final shape expansion, that's the end. That's the end of Light and Dark.
Yeah.
The story and the raid, that's it. The seasons seem to be something else entirely. So I don't know how much details we're going to get on the season pass other than like what the structure of it would look like.
So they said like the final shape is the end, but there's a season that's like coming probably a week after though, right? I'm
Right. And
assuming.
I think that that's probably going to be, I think that's going to be the first threads of what comes after, maybe some cleanup, etc. But that would also depend on how beefy is the final shape. Is there even going to be a season that launches with that? Because if you go to mini expansions again,
Mm-hmm.
there's no season launching with this.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the perfect time to end the current seasonal model and do that, especially
Right.
as
That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here.
yeah, because you don't want to begin like a new storyline or new set of storylines or like start expanding again with a season. You're going to want to do that in an expansion.
Right. And at the same time, you have the challenge of this being a live service game.
Yeah.
You have to keep content in it throughout the year. I
Mm-hmm.
do suspect that if they did this, I mean, you could hold the first mini expansion until like 2 months after. You could
Mm-hmm.
drop that 1st of May
Yeah.
and then have that carry you through the summer, have the anniversary drop in September,
Mm-hmm.
have that carry you into the fall, and then have the last, kind of mini expansion. Or, you could even have two. You could have four of these and just not call them seasons, call them, call it an expansion pass or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can release Destiny 3 kind of whenever you need to, or excuse me, not Destiny 3, whatever the next step is, whatever the next saga is. And I do think that we get the title for that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we get a title card.
Yeah.
Because they kind of have to let the fan base know what's coming, whether that's going to be that, is it going to be Destiny 3, what is it going to be? They've been adamant that it's not going to be Destiny 3, but this wouldn't be the first time they've walked something back, realizing that it's for the health of the game.
They've
I'm
got
I'm
to they've got to cut it off somewhere, right? Though, I mean,
the
like,
the problem with it is if you call it Destiny 3 right now, you're going to cut off Destiny 2 at the legs.
yeah,
I think that would have to be saved for next year for a 10th anniversary celebration.
yeah,
So 10th anniversary is going to line up with whatever showcase would be next year.
yeah,
And I would almost guarantee you that they don't do a showcase at the end of August. They hold it for the 10th anniversary. So like do it the day of or something, like, I don't know. Do it whatever day that is.
yeah.
But we're gonna keep moving. We have so much tonight. I'm making sure we don't have any other questions. We got to fly through here really fast. Relating to this, we have a lot of thoughts on the showcase or on this video that we'll share at the end. He jumps into saying that following the showcase, questions are going to be taken live, so not pre-recorded, based on what was shown, and discuss some of their philosophies behind some of the things that were announced, some of the things from the state of the game, etc. Looking forward to see how that goes. That's of course a mainstay of Bungie reveals, going back years and years and years and years. Deej used to run them all the time. Excited to see what that looks like. He jumps into PvP though, and he says, in terms of state of PvP, it's kind of similar to what state of the game was. The focus is on the sandbox. They try to do 2 balance passes per season, and then ritual updates such as modes, 1 new map, and a few reprises a year. He then pretty much corrects himself right away and says, "This is clearly not working."
Mm-hmm.
In regards to maps, it's clear that the slow trickle pretty much sucks. Next year in 2024, there's currently efforts on a single free map pack with several types of variety. He says,
Mm-hmm.
because when we design one map, it kind of sucks for us too, because we can't make the map good at any one thing. It has to be neutral game for all modes,
Yeah,
which is really frustrating as a designer.
yeah.
This is when we do a map pack, we're able to specially design some of these maps.
Yeah, and
So
I hope I wish they would do that. I mean, they did. I mean, not that it's a lot of the same team or anything, but they did do that with Halo. Like, I mean, big team battle maps are different than
yeah.
Slayer maps, and
Well, I mean, and even then, some of the maps that would be for smaller modes, in Halo traditionally, are not used for every single mode.
yeah,
So, because some of them just don't play well, some of them are much more objective based.
mm-hmm.
That is kind of the hope that I'm seeing from the community is, okay, map pack, Let's go ahead and think about what that means. That probably means we're getting 3 maps. I would say 3 maps at minimum, 5 at most. I could see 3 new and 2 reprised, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I would personally expect. But
Yeah.
I would expect the 3 to be a part of the pack and the 2 reprised to come throughout the year.
Hmm.
He said he makes it very clear this will take time.
Hmm.
And that's why I don't think you're seeing this for probably 12 months. You're probably going to see this around the time of the 10th anniversary update.
Yeah.
So you got that. And he says PvP is about foundation and modes. There's a lot of excitement around Checkmate and around Relic. They know that a mode like Checkmate has been asked for since the Destiny 1 days. Relic is meant to be another party mode. And he goes on to say something that we've highlighted a lot on the show. We know that we need more modes in core playlists rather than just trying them out in Crucible Labs or Iron Banner. Modes that are in these two are going to come to core PvP. So I take that to mean things like Eruption and Fortress. I take that to mean that like those Iron Banner modes are going to work their way into regular playlist rotation. And then he talks a little bit about comp. Competitive is weighed a little bit too much on the matchmaking ranking on the MMR. Simpler system where winning or losing matters more is on the way. I don't know if that's going to make it out before the final shape. I actually neglected to write that down. I don't know if it was actually addressed. And then big news for comp players. Countdown Rush is coming to comp, and Rift is out. Rift is officially out of comp. It's clear that just is not working. And then probably the biggest news. I'm going to be honest. I really like the map pack news. And
Yeah.
that's huge news. That's something I've harped on for years. But like, until we know a little bit more details, we can't really discuss that. And it's probably not going to be discussed on Tuesday. They're going to be heads down for a little while on that.
Right.
The biggest news for me in this whole thing is a PvP strike team is being formed. Why this was not already a thing, I will never understand.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing I liked, I know this should have been a thing like 2 years ago, but the thing I
yeah,
do like
at least.
about what he said is like the PvP strike team will be led by PvP, uh, PvP employees, right? Like it's going to be led by, you know,
Yeah.
people who know PvP and are well versed in it. So that was good to hear, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, that's incredible. We're not. It's not like we're taking people from like a campaign or raids and moving them over,
right? Or
right?
even like something like I don't want to like you know put anybody down or anything, but not like newer developers or a B team of
Mhm.
Destiny developers, right? Like they're really focused on it. It seems.
Yeah. So I took a few notes on what Joe says, and that's basically what I have. Strike teams being formed will be led by PvP devs, and they will decide changes that they want to make. Changes will be approved personally by Joe and will be communicated to the community before implementation through TWABs and through social channels.
Hmm.
This team is built from the ground up to focus on community requests. I cannot stress enough how much this team needs to listen, not just to the casual fan base, but to the hardcore fan base as well. You need to listen to people who only play this game for PvP because it's got to be welcoming to them, and it's got to be welcoming at the same. And I don't envy anybody's attempts here because
Hmm.
you have to make this game accessible to the majority and make it fun for the majority, but also try and keep your hardcore base involved.
Yeah.
And that's going to start with your hardcore base. That's going to start with fixing comp and fixing trials. For the rest of us, it's gonna you're kind of like your prosumers who like we're not good enough to compete in that, but we want a challenge. It's gonna start with making Iron Banner good again,
Yeah.
which I think you've taken a lot of steps with modes and with
Hmm.
map packs. That's going to help a lot too. And then for the general player base, it's going to be a lot of those modes that they're going to introduce to everything else, right? But like healthier matchmaking is something that's going to happen. There's a lot of requests. I'm interested to see what we hear from them. I can't imagine that we get to October without hearing from this team for the first time. Because the fact that so at this point, Joe is halfway done with his 16-minute video. He spent half of it talking about PvP. That shows like I think an awareness of the problem and that they have to know That's what keeps your game going
Yeah.
in between story beats. You can do raids, sure. People can get on and raid, but I think crafting has made, raiding kind of trivial in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Um, we're not hunting armor as much. And so PvP kind of has to be your thing. And if Gambit has to die in order for us to get PvP good again, so be it.
Yeah.
I really say I think Gambit's a truly unique mode. I played it last night for the first time in, oh God, probably a year. I played about 4 or 5 matches, and it was just genuinely some of the least fun that I've had in Destiny in years. It's bad. It's in a really bad space, and I don't think that anything is going to fix it anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I'm
It
happy to
was.
see we're getting PvP resources. It needs to
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah. I Gambit, nice idea, but PvP I think is truly the legs of this, to keep people engaged long after like stories are over and stuff.
I think both of them could have been that. They just
Yeah,
didn't.
I'm
They didn't
saying
do
now.
anything for Gambit for years. They neutered it instead.
Yeah.
Gambit Prime was a cool idea, but I think was introduced way too fast. We got so much Gambit during Forsaken,
Hmm.
and then they basically did nothing but just neuter it after that.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, And that again, this is what it comes back to. Like, that's a mode that has only a couple maps, and they took 2 of them out.
Yeah.
And oh boy, we're gonna get one of them back this year. Oh boy, so excited that I'll have 4 maps to stare at instead of 3. There were only 5 to begin with. you know.
Yeah.
And I've aired that grievance one too many times. So I don't want to, go into a soliloquy on Gambit or even on Crucible. I think this is a good list of I think of goals that you can achieve. This is a reasonable list of goals.
Hmm.
I've seen nothing but praise for this being, and this is the first steps. This is the bones of a plan
Yeah.
to help fix PvP. So we'll see what happens. I really do hope they truly listen to the community. And again, like, it can't be, oh, you're just listening to, to Gary Game Pass over here or something who's, an uber casual. But it also can't be one of those situations where you're just listening to like the Grenadier Jakes and,
Hmm.
them of the world,
Yeah.
you know, who want these, hardcore PvP experiences. And I'm not saying that to imply like Jake is an asshole or anything. I'm saying that to say that like it can't just be like, oh, we're only going to listen to guys who play Trials and Comp. Like, no,
Yeah.
you got to listen to the wide variety of it, and they're always going to go with things that favor the majority. But I hope that this team understands, since it's PvP devs, that yeah, you can make the whole mode healthy, but you got to work on those competitive experiences too. Because if you make the competitive experiences better, it's going to make it better for everyone in the long run.
Yeah.
Then average players aren't being griefed as much.
Yeah.
We're actually enjoying going into some of these match modes. Like, I won't touch rotators right now. They're so bad.
Yeah.
The matchmaking is so atrocious in there.
Yeah.
I go hang out in control because I have a better shot.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because I'm tired of playing control. Moving on. Moving on, we got a little bit on armor and we got some on comms. Armor, he notes it's been a little while since we talked about it. They classify armor into 4 categories. Aspirational, and he goes, aspirational armor should be flashy. This is, hey, I did this to get this armor. That should come from things like trials, raids, and dungeons. I find it really funny that he said this, knowing that the Hake set is in the duality dungeon,
Hmm.
because that shit is awful.
Yeah.
That is truly just, I've never seen anybody wear it. That's truly some of the worst armor in the game. That looks like stuff that you should earn from a vendor. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand why that was the armor set. Like,
I have no idea.
what was the?
I truly think that the Reaper set probably should have been in there, even though that was an awesome set for ornaments. That probably should have been in the duality set.
Man, I just don't understand, man.
I don't know, but he lists silver purchases next. Basically, if you spend money, we want you to look good. I kind of take issue with that. I do understand the philosophy there, but I really think that you could disperse some of those efforts to other areas.
Yeah.
He talks about narrative armor. And this is the stuff you see in marketing trailers. So like campaign armor, season pass armor, and ornaments. He notes that the final shape armor will be shown at the showcase, and we did in fact get a teaser image. yesterday, and it looks like some like Burn the Witch style armor on that warlock. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. Excited to see what it looks like on everybody else. Kind of like some like a straw doll almost.
Yeah. It
And
looks.
last but not least, well, last and definitely least, he says rituals and blues. Stereotypical everyday guardian. Maybe these are guardians that aren't hanging out with the vanguard all the time, that are just like patrolling the city or something like that. Or as he says, they get lost in the traveler's portal and get sliced up.
Yeah.
Um, he says we need a lot of armor here. There's not a lot of armor there though. Joe goes on to say that last year priorities were reevaluated. They want to spend more time on armor like aspirational and silver purchases as well as narrative. The cowboy armor, season of the deep armor and ornaments, and rise of nightmares armor were all highlighted. And I would agree all three of those are probably the high points for armor over the last like year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a stretch at all to say that over the last year that's easily been the best sets of armor that we've gotten.
Yeah.
Um he says that he notes that they failed to communicate this to the community. That they talked about it internally, they made the change internally, and they never communicated with us. Even after the community kept asking, "Where is basic armor? Where is the basic armor refresh we're supposed to get?" And the excuse we got in the state of the game was unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that an Eververse set for season 22 will now be given out as a ritual reward, starting partway through the season at Zavala, Drifter, and Shax. This is very reminiscent of, in fact, our first episodes when they announced that one of the sets from, in response to player anger, one of the sets was going to be taken out of Eververse and be put into the Prophecy dungeon, so that Prophecy would have two sets of armor now. This is that, of course, the Dido armor is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
This to me screams that they have another collaboration probably in the works for next season, so they can afford to do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That really bothers me because I see some of the cool shit that's in Eververse, and with all the collaborations that you've had, I guess I just don't understand why like some of these armor element sets couldn't have been like earnable through Ikora through a series of quests.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool.
Maybe the collaboration's TMNT. Everybody else is doing it.
Oh my god, I legitimately would. I think would just turn the game off.
Oh my god, dude! I buy every one.
But I have a note here that says LOL do this more. Because I mean, in reality, that's great that you want people who pay the money to look good and the people who do the aspirational activities to look good. That really leaves people who can't do end game material for one reason or another. You know, they can't afford it, or they just don't have the skill level, or who aren't gonna be able to fork out now $20 an armor set.
Yeah.
Can't really look good because let's be honest, like the story armor is fine. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You might use a piece or two here and there, but it's not like anything to write home about.
Yeah.
Your season pass armor is typically way better.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I do think that they crush it in the season pass ornaments almost every season.
Yeah.
There's rarely been a season where I've been like, oh, that's ugly. It really hasn't been since like the butt plug and anal bead season that I've been like, yeah, pass.
Oh my god, I hated that.
Oh, dude,
I
it's
forgot
so bad.
about that.
I never forget a legend.
Oh,
but
the ornament had 3 balls on top.
Like the whole reason we don't use the ritual armor that's at the vendors is because it just doesn't look good. There's no effort put into it. All we're asking is for a fraction of the effort that's spent on the paid armor. Could you put it into the base game for the rest of us?
Yeah.
That's all we're asking for. You know, nobody's ever going to complain about having too many fashion options, you know?
Yeah.
And in a game where that's like such a key cornerstone of the community, it seems silly to me that you wouldn't want to encourage that. And like, that's like a gateway drug, man. If the base armor, you're like, oh man, the base armor looks good. Like, what the fuck am I paying for in the store? Like, is there a concern that people aren't going to buy as much? Like, that's got to be part of it, I would think.
Yeah.
But you have enough resources to make season pass armor, to make season pass ornaments, to make Eververse armor, to make holiday armor, which we have a holiday event every single season, by the way, now. Yep. To make 2 exotic ornaments per class each season, to make about 6 weapon ornaments per season, to make now 3 legendary ornaments, 1 per class every season, that works with an exotic, by the way.
Yeah.
You have all the resources to make this stuff. But we have to beg and plead for base armor. We're lucky if we get a Trials or an Iron Banner refresh each year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to know, at what point can the rest of the game expect to get as much love? Oh, excuse me, you also have an endgame activity every single season. So you have a dungeon or a raid that you're making armor for.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even counting expansions where, like, oh, you might have like 3 or 4 other activities that are going to give you sources of armor, you know? And it's just, at a certain point, we just want a little bit of that love transferred over. Like, you know, the other thing I'd like to see as a change, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, I would like old armor sets to be purchasable through Bright Dust.
Yeah.
I think it's downright silly that in the year 2023, I can't buy an armor set from year 1 with my Bright Dust. If I wanted to buy it for money, I would have bought it years ago.
I wish the Bright Dust offerings were like way more expansive than they are too, right? I mean, like you go in there, like, yeah, I get they rotate every week, but like, come on.
There's 20, as of right now, there are 22 seasons worth of Bright Dust items that you could rotate through.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea why we haven't. Even just adding another column of Bright Dust offerings each week would be huge.
Yeah.
You've got your featured offers on the front page. What's keeping you from doing 2 on that second page, along with the line of shaders and transmat effects and shit?
Yeah.
What's keeping you from doing that? Like, why can't we get even like a rotating armor set, like once a week or something? An old armor set goes up for Bright Dust, or old pieces of it'll go up for Bright Dust. Like, why can't we get that?
Yeah.
There should never be a week that goes by where we don't have some sort of armor available for Bright Dust, whether it's the pieces. And I understand that, like, oh, well, if you play that season, you can get it for Bright Dust. That's great.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to get the whole thing for Bright Dust, though.
Yeah.
Like, at any time, especially when you're someone like me who's sitting on like 120K. What do you think I'm going to use this on? I have it saved up because I want to buy an armor set. Like, that's all I buy is I buy armor and I buy ornaments with it. I don't buy anything else in this game.
Yeah.
I try my hardest not to spend, because I think the pricing is egregious, and I don't have time to dive into that today. The last thing we have here before we get to some of y'all's comments that you sent in to us is on comms. The dev team is very busy. They want to focus on content, but they acknowledge that at the same time, communications should not suffer. He says, truthfully, Bungie wants to communicate more, but the community and devs have to be mutually safe. They're going to continue using their branded accounts, D2 team, across Reddit and Twitter, but they're going to use them with more personality and communication. They acknowledge they've gone kind of quiet on those fronts. And a lot of that was in response. So the branded accounts were in response to the harassment that, like, Damage and Liana were getting last year.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, that was awful, man.
It's awful. I see people still joking about it. Like, I don't understand, like, how you're not prepared for that as your job and this and that. And it's like, well, then I don't think you've been in a position where, I don't think you've ever been in a position like they are, that's as public facing.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the times the people that I see doing the harassing are first name bunch of numbers.
Yeah, of course it is.
Or, paid for Twitter Blue. Or my personal favorite, they've put their age in their bio and it's always like 19 or 20. And
Yeah.
it's people who either have just extraordinary privilege or who haven't learned how the world operates just yet.
Yeah.
And they've noted in the past, in the past couple of weeks that, we want to have opportunities to work with streamers and, content creators going forward and whatnot of all shapes and sizes. But your community has to be respectful to us. And I've seen some of them like bulk out, like, oh, you're making us responsible for our communities. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are responsible. You may not be saying, or you may be saying, guys, don't go harass anyone if they came from your community. Because I see people go all the time like, oh, like, insert streamer name here was right about you. And it's like, oh, okay, so there is some targeted harassment going on now. And, maybe that person didn't even say that, but the insinuation is there, and that's enough to destroy a relationship.
Yeah.
This is a business transaction,
right?
I
mean, we don't work with Bungie, and like we've
no
removed people from our Discord. I mean, not going to
we're
name
not
any
we're not
names,
out
but
here with the ban hammer all the time, but we have removed a few individuals,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
it's just that's just for the attitude towards us,
yeah,
you know. That's let alone what their attitudes may or may not be towards Bungie. Um, and then the last thing he said, and I really enjoyed hearing this. I think it's a big step. I don't want to say courageous because I think that's like over dramatizing this a little bit, but I do think that I mean, it takes some guts to want to do this. As devs, we need to be leaders more in both communication and playtime. Joe is going to personally start streaming the game next season, a few times a season, to talk with and chat with the community he wants to play with. He's going to play with some of the content creators and things like that, and kind of have more fireside chats like this. He's like, they're not going to be reveal filled and this and that, but maybe where he floats some ideas and he gets some feedback from the community. God bless whoever has to moderate that Twitch chat.
right. Mm.
God bless whoever's going to have to be in there, especially if like something lackluster has recently been released. Just God bless them.
Right. Jeez. Yeah.
But I do think that shows an incredible amount of self-awareness to be willing to even entertain that idea,
Yeah.
let alone actually follow through with it.
Yeah.
So, Joe, it takes a special person to be able to deal with that, and I hope that you are equipped, buddy.
Yeah. You know, good luck with that.
Yeah, definitely good luck with that. And this is where I really think that you're missing like someone like a Damage or a Deej,
Yeah.
to kind of sit in there and like moderate the conversation and
Yeah.
the chat room and things like that. I think you're really like you're missing a strong personality, I think, to play off of.
Yeah.
So I really do hope that they've taken a lot of care with this and that they adequately address it. Corey, do you have any thoughts before we move on? We're going to move on to some community thoughts here. I don't want to spend too much longer on this video, but I
Yeah.
did think it was really important for us to break it down.
Yeah. I mean, my final thought is like this is a good first step into like renewing, I guess, some good faith with the community. I hope we see more of this type of thing. I mean, even if it's not from Joe, right? Even if it's from other, you know, higher up devs or like maybe someone from the PvP team when those maps are about to be released or something. Like
Yeah,
this is good. I hope they do more of this because it's been missing for a while.
yeah. I think you're. I think it would help to hear from like other people besides just Joe too, right? Like
Yeah.
the PvP strike team, and he says they're going to communicate with us through TWABs, and
Hmm.
that those teams can still post things on they can post things on Reddit, for example, or on Twitter via the D2 team account,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But I think these kinds of communications, and I don't think Bungie wants to make like these videos a regular,
Hmm.
but I think that this is very clearly not scripted.
Yeah.
As he joked when he posted this, he says, "I don't think I'm destined for career in uh, creation, content creation," because he says and but a lot. Buddy, listen, I do it a lot too. Uh, I just did it there. It's one of the things. I think it shows a lot of self-awareness to be able to go and do this and basically paint a target on your back. I mean, this is a guy who clearly learned from Luke Smith.
Hmm.
Who Luke worked in journalism before he came to Bungie. We've talked about before. He way back when used to be a writer at EGM.
Yeah.
I remember reading about Halo 2 from him. And then, then the Scarab gun and all that. And then, suddenly he's at Bungie, doing their weekly pod. Um, so we can get leaders from the most unexpected places. And I think being able to learn from somebody who's really gone through it, who said that he almost quit over how bad Curse of Osiris was
Hmm.
and over some of the messages he was getting. And, we all remember the season of the Worthy Wonder and, people screaming every other day for Luke Smith to be fired and, that him and Mark need to be removed and this and that.
Hmm.
I think that even though we're in one of the roughest patches of D2, there's been 3 really rough patches, and I think it was Curse of Osiris, it was Worthy, and it's now.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm ready to put where we are now on the level of those because we're still getting good content,
Hmm.
but it's just a stagnation that we're at.
Yeah.
I think this video was, as a lot of our friends in the Discord said, this probably came a little bit too late. Um, After the state of the game. But I think it's good that they let that kind of marinate for a little bit before he went and put out a video. He didn't do a reactionary video like 24 hours later. Um, I actually kind of like that they just let it sit there for a couple weeks.
Mhm.
But we have some comments. Ronnie, of course, writes in some of his comments. I like this video a lot. I wish it would have come a bit sooner so it doesn't feel so much like damage control. I'll keep playing Destiny even if this didn't come out 'cause it's the game I love. Heck, it's why we're all here in the first place, right? Bungie's track record isn't the best, but it isn't the dumpster fire that some content creators are making it out to be either. So a little slow time? Sure. Is there still to do? Yeah. No matter if you want to be drip fed the story beats or have it all at once, there's still things to do if you enjoy the game. Um, should something like this have come out to quiet the rants about PvP? Sure. Should this come out sooner about this or that sooner? Sure. But like Joe says, sometimes the reasons that we get are not black and white.
Yeah.
Also, did you catch the confirmed, unconfirmed Xur revamp he mentions? I did get that, and I wonder when they're going to discuss that because he said it's not going to be during the showcase. I was kind of expecting it to be like in the TWAB this week, frankly.
I mean, do you think that's something that's happening imminently, or do you think that's something that they could put in either season 23 or in the final shape?
I think it's coming in. I think it's coming in 23.
Yeah.
Because he specifically he jokes about it and says that they're not going to spend time during the showcase discussing that.
Mm-hmm.
But it does sound like something that's on their radar, and will probably come with the big systems update we're supposed to get in 23
Mm-hmm.
with the LFG system.
Yeah.
Jiggly Panda writes in and says, when I was watching the video, I was listening with a grain of salt. I think some of the things Joe said are going to come true, but at the end of the day, we can't get our hopes up too much. I mean, yeah, that's true. Like, it's always good to be a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Not blindly follow.
And
that's what we're doing here. We're being cautiously optimistic here.
Yeah, and like we mentioned before, like they have walked things back before, and good ways in and bad, right? I mean, so.
Nadiki says it's really nice to hear Joe say these things and admit that Bungie messed up. The PvP strike team sounds like a great thing. For those who don't know, strike teams are elite assemblies of employees from different areas that come together to solve big problems, also known as tiger teams, ninja teams, etc. Teams like that are what gave us Warmind and Forsaken. So I think that bodes well for the PvP side of things. I'm also proud of Joe for being brave enough to actually talk to the community and take responsibility despite all the vitriol right now. I hope this can be the start of repairing communications between devs and the fans. And then Ziltax. Sounds like, this is one I specifically want to talk about. It almost seems like this came as a response to the consumer community championing Baldur's Gate 3 with how much content they delivered. I really feel like that he is taking the stage and willing to stream with the fan base. It's a solid move, and I hope everything they're putting into motion works out. I want to talk about the Baldur's Gate 3 thing really, really fast. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I've seen enough, not in relation to Destiny necessarily, but in relation to like every game.
Mm-hmm.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a wholly, completely different experience than something like Destiny. Like, something like Baldur's Gate 3 is more akin to, you can compare that more to a game like Tears of the Kingdom or Diablo 4, I would say.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily compare it here.
Yeah.
Because there are infinite ways to go play Baldur's Gate. There are infinite ways to replay it. It also had 6 years of development time, 3 years of early access, which is really funny because most of the people championing it right now did not touch it in early access.
Right.
It has become this runaway sensation because of how polished it is. And that's fine. Like, Larian has truly delivered one of the greatest RPGs of all time. But it's important to remember in that context that 6 years of development time is a lot different than like 18 months to deliver a expansion.
Right.
Or to deliver maps or something like that. They're two entirely different styles of game.
Yeah.
So I don't say this to like sound like, oh, I'm your dad and I'm disappointed in you. Just I see a lot of this like, well, Baldur's Gate did it, why can't Bungie do it? Because there are two entirely different styles of game. They're two entirely different experiences. That doesn't mean that we can't expect better from Bungie. And I do think that this is going to raise the bar for a lot of them. I don't think this necessarily raises the bar on the developers. I think this puts more pressure on the publishing side of things.
Yeah.
This puts more pressure on the people who run the books and allocate how much money you're going to have. If anybody's going to feel the heat from this, it should be the publishing side of Bungie. It should be, it should be SIE. It should be people like that who feel the pressure that, man, look at how satisfied that community is.
Yeah.
That's also a game that is built on billing as, and I would say a lot of the favor that it's getting in gaming circles, even when people aren't playing it, is a single player, or you can play it single player or you can play with friends, There are no microtransactions. There's no DLC planned right now. Nothing. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
It is there as an experience. And again, two radically different types of games. It's not a live service game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to make this any clearer.
Yeah.
It is. And okay, cool. You basically are dealing with one of like the two or three best RPG studios in the world. And I've seen, not just on the Destiny side of things, the other game that's getting a lot of this is because the Destiny community is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
They've compared now Remnant 2 and Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
And we saw a lot of it with Diablo 4 at the beginning of the summer. These are all different types of games.
Yeah.
These are all different types of games. We're about to see the same thing. If they're both RPGs, we're about to see the same thing with Baldur's Gate and Starfield.
Yep.
It's not an either or. There are things that all these games can learn from each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a bad thing. Like competition for your time is never a bad thing. I think it's also that so many of the people from the Destiny community that are championing each of these games, it's because they're finally playing something that's not Destiny for the first time in like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Johnny and I were talking about this last night, and Destiny got to a place where so many people were playing it and were basically making a living off of it because we had such a drought of major AAA releases over the last couple of years. Right about the time they fixed it was right when everything started getting delayed or couldn't come out because of pandemic and things like that. Your only competition during arrivals were a couple PS4 exclusives.
Yeah.
And that's kind of maintained the same sense. Like, oh, people may fall off for part of a season, but they're always back. This is the first season where it's been like, oh my God, look at all the different games coming out. And so many of them were multiplayer centric on top of that.
Yeah.
You Baldur's Gate, you had Remnant, you had Diablo, and then you had two amazing single player experiences in Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy 16. That's not even counting this new season is going to come out, and 3 days later you got Armored Core 6, you got Starfield. As we push closer to, as we push into September, you're going to games that are definitely like lower on the tier list. You're going to see things like Lies of P and Payday 3, and then you get into October, you've got Alan Wake, you've got Spider-Man, you've got Assassin's Creed, you've got Super Mario Brothers Wonder, you got Sonic Superstars, Call of Duty is on the way again, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other games that are going to compete for your attention. And Bungie's going to have to figure out how to navigate that. They haven't really had to deal with that in the last couple of years.
Right.
I would say really the only major time that they had to face that was when The Witch Queen came out, and Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West both came out within 2 weeks of it.
Yeah, but those are also two totally different types of games than
they are, but
Destiny.
Elden Ring was another transcendental experience, like on the level of like your Tears of the Kingdom or your Baldur's Gate 3s, that people who've never engaged with those types of games were like, oh my God, this is incredible. Destiny still kept its player count up though because the Witch Queen was that good.
Yeah, and the seasons after delivered also, right? I mean,
I would say
those first
2 seasons were great. I may have gotten tired of the activity on the Leviathan, but the story is probably the best seasonal story we've ever gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Risen was a short story, but there was so much content in the Witch Queen. It delivered with an awesome raid. Duality was a great dungeon. It really delivered on that. Even if we stumbled a bit during Plunder, then you come back and Seraph was awesome.
Yeah.
And if, Bungie can keep the momentum going this year, hopefully rebuild some of that momentum, where we kind of have the reverse. We've had two pretty good, I would say Defiance was fine. The story's a bit rocky, but the content was good.
Mm-hmm.
The Battlegrounds. This season, I think it was all good. Personally, outside the weapons suite.
Yeah.
If we can get the whole package together for seasons, 22 and 23, we're in really good shape going into the final shape.
Yeah.
And even then, that's going to come out and go up against Final Fantasy Rebirth and Persona 3 Reload. And it's going to be like, those are two major releases.
Yeah.
That's not counting anything that might be coming from Microsoft in Q1 or, Nintendo in Q1 or Q2. Like, there's always going to be competition going. And it's unfortunate that the stumble happens this year during one of the most historically packed and best years we've ever seen in the industry.
Yeah.
Everything that keeps getting delayed because of, COVID related problems or staffing issues is finally coming out.
Yeah.
You look at games like Starfield and Baldur's Gate that have been in production for 6-7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the culmination. Tears of the Kingdom took, 5 years to make.
Mm-hmm.
Diablo 3 took 5 or 6 years to make. Like, these are all games. Final Fantasy 16.
Jedi
These
Survivor too. That's the game I'm playing right now.
Jedi Survivor had a 3-year turnaround,
Yeah, which is incredible.
and that game came in hot.
Yeah, it was spicy for a while.
That's one that probably could have stood about another 6 months in the oven, and I don't think any of us would have blinked.
Yeah,
That game would have done numbers no matter where it released.
yeah,
But it really has been like a nonstop barrage. I would say since Jedi Survivor, it's been a nonstop barrage of just quality releases. And I mean, if you even want to look further back than that, you had a Resident Evil 4 remake, you've had Fire Emblem Echoes, you've had Pikmin 4, you've had Metroid Prime remastered, you've had the Dead Space remake.
mm-hmm.
There's been so much this year,
Right?
that's like, if Destiny was going to stumble, this is kind of the year to do it.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is you risk losing your player base.
Yeah. And how are you going to get them back? I mean, I think a lot of people are looking forward to the final shape in general, just to see. I mean, the people who
Yeah.
have been playing since the very beginning, or like, maybe since D2 launched or something, right? Like, they've been looking forward to this moment for 10 years, And I think that has enough to bring back a lot of people, but to keep them engaged and keep them coming back for whatever's next. And, I mean, we kind of talked about it before where like, what's going to happen after the final shape? Are we going to keep grinding? Are we going to keep going? Are we going to keep doing a lot of, which, I mean, I'm still going to play Destiny, right? But like, are you going to really grind for 20, 30 hours a week to get that one weapon and that one role, right? I mean,
Right.
you know,
Right. So, just kind of putting a bow on everything. Showcase, man. We're gonna have a lot more to talk about on Tuesday, and a lot more reactions. Let's. Oh boy,
let's shift
there's still.
gears, Josh. We,
Let's shift gears. We're gonna jump into the TWAB real quick because this is really quick to go through. Um, First up, we have Guardians for Maui, which, if you haven't heard, Maui was completely and totally destroyed by one of the deadliest wildfires, if not the deadliest in U.S. history. Last count, over 100 people lost their lives. Um, Entire communities are just gone.
yeah,
Um, yeah, thousands have been made homeless, and a lot of traditional Hawaiian history and culture is just gone forever. The Bungie Foundation, we kind of heard about this a couple days ago. Bungie Foundation announced today that they are doing a fundraising campaign to directly support the relief and recovery efforts across Hawaii. All profits are going to longtime partner Direct Relief, which they partner with for like the Bungie Day campaigns and Bungie Love and things like that, who is already delivering life-saving emergency medical kits and aiding in search and rescue operations. Um, Guardians can support this mission by purchasing a specially designed t-shirt made in collaboration with Asians at Bungie, one of our employee-led inclusion, diversity, and equity associations, and a local artist from Oahu, Brady Evans. All profits, of course, are going to Direct Relief. This t-shirt features a ghost set against the backdrop of Maui's, the West Maui Mountains. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to like butcher the names here. I'm going to use the translations that are provided. Projecting a hologram of Maui. Surrounding the hologram is a titi leaf lei adorned with alali flowers. The lei is a common symbol of respect, love, and aloha, with alali traditionally used to ward off bad spirits, cleanse, bless, and heal people. It's indigenous planet to Hawaii plant, not planet, to Hawaii, whose seeds can endure fire and are some of the first plants to grow back in burned areas. Below the design, the words Malama Maui can be seen, meaning take care Maui in Hawaiian. Each shirt purchased also includes a code for the Stand Together emblem, newly created to show support in game for those impacted by this tragedy. Emblems will be delivered via email after September 5th, 2023. The t shirt is going for $20 on the Bungie Foundation website. They got slammed so much that I have not been able to log in and buy a shirt yet.
yeah.
But this is a really beautiful shirt.
It's a cool shirt.
Yeah, I'm 100% ordering this. Of course, this is not the first time they've done this. Bungie has a history of doing this throughout their history, going all the way back to Fight the Flood during Hurricane Katrina. And then, of course, more recently, the Australian wildfires a couple of years ago, which I still think is one of the best shirt designs they've ever done. Really, really regretted not being able to get that one at the time. But I encourage anybody, who wants to support efforts. We've all seen the good that the Bungie Foundation can do. Not here to be a shill, but I'll be sending them $20 tonight.
Yeah.
Twitch streams bring all the drops to the yard. Twitch drops are back as a small token of appreciation for Guardians tuning into the upcoming Destiny 2 showcase. This is a really bitchin' emblem. I really like this one.
Yeah.
To be eligible, you need to make sure your Twitch account is linked with your Destiny 2 account and your Bungie.net profile. Then tune into any of the official Bungie Twitch channels. There are 9 channels total for different languages on August 22nd from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And watch at least 30 minutes of the showcase to get that sweet, sweet celebratory loot. And there's a Twitch Drops help article there. That, man, it looks awesome. There was a trailer that came out of Destiny 2 epic moments from the Light and Dark saga, going all the way back to some Destiny 1 moments. The heart of the Black Garden can be seen in it.
Yeah.
All endings are beginning as we inch closer to the conclusion of the epic Light and Dark saga we've been immersed in throughout the years. Here's a look back at the story thus far and the Guardians that have made the Destiny community feel like home. From saying farewell to beloved characters to digging deep within ourselves to find the strength we never knew was there. Venture into the history of Destiny and prepare for what lies ahead with this new Epic Moments trailer. Nobody makes a trailer like Bungie. Yeah. And then, of course, there's that teaser image we were talking about earlier. Good old Imaru is right there.
Yep.
He's right there.
He's hanging out with Ikora.
He's hanging out with Ikora and the Guardian. I don't know how I feel about that one.
They're best friends now, right? I mean,
best friends right
the
now.
enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? I mean, that's the saying.
There's a TLDR here for anything that you may have missed over the last couple of weeks, including the exotic mission rotator, abilities and armor updates, the economy changes coming to PvP, including respawn changes, competitive matchmaking, and more, and then the state of the game, which, oh boy, the state of the game summary there is really bad. New PvP map, seasonal structure, security changes, and quality of life updates. Oh boy. Cade 6 moments. Cade 6 stole our hearts in the original Destiny and then crushed our souls later in Destiny 2 with his flourished exit stage left during the Forsaken expansion. Now that our sassy hero is seen on screen once more, we want to hear your favorite moments of the Tower's resident funny guy. Dig deep into that nostalgia, friends, and share some of your favorite Cade 6 memories in the journey leading up to the final shape. Was there something you love to hear Cade talk about? Favorite quote? How about some cosplay or fan art that would make Ace proud? Share it all by tagging the Bungie channels and the D2 team account. We'll always take an excuse to rave about the man with a motto we can get behind. If an EXO says, do it for the puppies, you do it for the dang puppies.
The puppies.
And just one last question for Cade. How's your sister?
Ooh.
Oh, man. I can't wait. Cade's back. Nathan Fillion's back. It feels like home.
This is going to be nuts, man.
Yeah, I'm a little scared. Special delivery. Another new detail you'll note coming in Season 22 is a new special deliveries kiosk in the tower. This new addition is an easy-to-access vendor that players can interact with when chatting up Rahul and Banshee44. Deliveries you can expect to snag from this vendor include rewards like Bungie Foundation incentives, Twitch drops, Bungie rewards, digital deluxe and collector's edition loot, secret stash items, pre-order bonuses, and more. What is a secret stash item?
I don't know. I mean, didn't Cade have a secret stash in
like in the base game? Yeah, it was like 6 years ago, though.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe secret stashes are back.
Maybe they are. Upcoming regional pricing update. Starting on August 22nd, we'll be making routine territory-specific pricing adjustments to the foreign exchange rate fluctuations and regional discrepancies. These evaluations typically happen each year to account for variances in economic conditions across regions. While USD currency will not be affected by these adjustments, other currencies, you can read them here, will see an increase or decrease of varying degrees in pricing for silver packs, catalog expansions, and new expansion sales, with the aim of balancing pricing fairly across all territories. Much of this update will focus on aligning to industry standards across currencies impacted by inflation and other regional considerations. Regional pricing adjustments specific to silver packs and catalog expansions will begin rolling out on September 6th, 2023. Oh boy.
Nice.
Nice. And I think that's going to do it for us for this week on the TWAB.
The TWAB.
The TWAB. All right, Corey, I'm gonna take a drink, and then we're gonna jump in. I did say in the Discord we're not gonna read this entire blog. This thing is so long.
Yeah. There's charts though. Josh likes his charts.
There's charts. Josh is gonna skip the charts this week.
Mm.
I'm willing to do it. I'm doing it for the betterment of all of us. I'm skipping charts this week. That should tell you how serious I am about trying to get through this.
Dude, this thing is so long. This is like
This
3
this
TWABs.
thing's an absolute monstrosity. I'm not happy that they dropped this on me.
Yeah, especially the same week of the video, and yeah, well, I think it's safe to say there's no lore corner this week either.
There is no lore corner this week. I didn't have one written out, and even if I did, y'all aren't getting it. So we're already almost at an hour. So
Almost.
all right, let's jump into it. We're going to skip the look back at the balance pass. We're skipping all of this. There's some great charts. Seriously, great charts here for you guys can see for top 50 primary weapons, all weapon types, all primary weapon types, etc. That you guys can take a look at. Season 22 weapon balance changes. See, right? Just like that. We got rid of a quarter of this.
Nice.
We mentioned this change coming a couple weeks ago, but PvE kills with 2 special weapons equipped now generate heavy ammo at the same rate as 2 primaries or 1 primary, 1 special. While we did find some applications of double special to be interesting, particularly builds utilizing special weapons and custom ammo economies like trace rifles and Forerunner, providing a flat-out benefit to ammo was negating the trade-off of running double specials. There's some changes to reticles coming. Zoom and damage fall off. I'm going to let you guys read all of this. If you guys want, we can do a bigger breakdown of this in the future. But for right now, we're legitimately going to skip all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand some of what's going on here. I actually need to do some more reading myself on this. There's a lot of numbers here, but this is one of those where I think you're probably better off either watching this, or I would genuinely, seriously recommend going and watching a breakdown from somebody like Fallout Plays or Cool Guy,
Mm-hmm.
who specifically talk weapons a lot, because they will be able to explain this better than I can. Straight up. Oh my god, this is a lot of it too, because there's a lot of charts here. There's some custom tuned exotic ranges, including weapons like Ace of Spades, Devil's Ruin, Revision Zero, Crimson, Mythoclast, etc. I love the note here at about the halfway point. That was a lot of info. If you're still with us or just skipped all of it, let's get to a more standard weapons balance update. Let's just jump right on in. Hand cannons. Hand cannons feel underpowered in PvE, and we wanted to address that while also giving them a better use case to fit their hard-hitting fantasy. We decided it made sense for them to be the big game hunters of primary weapons, so we have massively increased the damage they deal to major combatants. Additionally, without investing in reload speed or perks that auto-reload, hand cannons have often felt too punishing of missed shots or running out of ammo at critical moments. We buffed their baseline reload speed in a way that filters upward to be a buff for all hand cannons, although it's a smaller buff as you get to higher levels of the stat. We also built a new subfamily for the first time in a while, adding Heavy Burst to the list of intrinsic traits. Warden's Law will deal increased precision damage, but it comes with the challenge of needing to land 2 bullets on the target instead of 1, providing an extra reward for players who have great aim. So in general, increased reload speed at 0 stat by 15%. PvE damage, increased damage against minors by 20, and majors by 75.
Ooh.
That's pretty spicy. I may run Crimson. Heavy Burst. Change Warden's Law to be the first member of new subfamily. Heavy Burst fires 2-round burst. Bows. As we mentioned previously, bows have had issues with hit registration at longer ranges due to the velocity of the projectiles, sometimes preventing them from registering as hits. We've increased the base velocity of precision bows and brought lightweights up to match. We've also increased the maximum speed that the reload animation can play out so that reload perks and scalers will continue to have an effect even at high stat levels. So that should be fun for everybody who likes using bows. I personally don't like it, but I am really jazzed for those of you who like using it. I know a lot of people like using Wish Ender and especially Le Monarch. But that Le Monarch nerf is coming soon, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Corrected a long-standing visual on SMGs that prevented the RPM stat from displaying correctly. This does not change the actual RPM of the weapons. They've always fired at 720, and that is aggressives. Sidearms. Aggressive sidearms reduced base damage from 32 to 30. With their extremely forgiving body shot time to kill, it was far out of band. We've reduced their base damage so they can no longer kill in 3 bursts of only body shots, making them less forgiving in exchange for the increased damage fall off distance they received. Pulse rifles, the BXR Battler, increased zoom back to 20. Shotguns, there is a visual bug that they're fixing on the Comedian for the impact stat. Fusion rifles. Well, let's talk fusions for a minute. Players have noted the enhanced intrinsic perks and adept masterworks felt like they were making their fusions worse by reducing the damage per bolt. We have made a change to prevent that from happening and to allow those alterations to strictly improve the weapons as intended. So interested to see how that one plays out. Wave frame heavy grenade launchers. Size and damage of self-damage AoE is now reduced and should be much safer to fire the projectile close to your feet.
Ooh.
But the big one before we get to the exotics, we got exotics and we got some perks and crafting updates to get to. Swords are getting a very big rework next season. I'm excited. I like a good sword. I know that A1 Johnny likes a good sword.
Who doesn't like a
My
good sword?
window just readjusted on me. Sword Guard can mitigate the damage that players face when they try to use swords, but the guard's duration is difficult to predict with incoming fire and disables the sword's primary means of offense, the fully charged heavy attack. It also mitigates a very small amount of damage when compared with our other existing defensive option, the Glaive. Further, while numerous sword guard related perks are already in place within the game, they don't see any play. So we decided to undertake a rework with the aim to increase the viability of blocking, to advance on enemies, increase the value of sword guard related perks, as well as allow guardians to use their fully charged heavy attacks more often. Our intent is that swords now occupy a niche where they provide better staying power and survival. Sword Guard. Energy now recharges after a short delay when used, but recharges much faster. The delay ranges between 2.7 and 1.05 seconds, decreasing with charge rate stat. Massively increase the rate energy returns after the delay to compensate, and they increase even more at higher charge rate stats. Even after the delay, swords now return to full energy from empty faster than before this rework. Full power heavy attacks can now be used with any non-zero amount of sword energy rather than requiring full sword energy. Thank you. That was one of the big problems, I think, with swords, was that even if you had some ammo left, good luck using a heavy attack. Mm-hmm. Increased sword guard damage resistance, giving it between 82.5 and 95% damage reduction, depending on guard resistance stat. This is sharply reduced against other players like glaives. Then it provides between 52.5, and 65% damage reduction. Sword Guard no longer loses energy when taking damage. That's another big one. I like that. Guard duration is now increased across every guard type, with those the shortest durations benefiting the most. Man, this sounds awesome. The Lament Exotic Sword has been special case, so its charge rate and delay are unaffected, but it still benefits from the increased guard damage reduction and duration. Amazing. Nice. Lament is really only used in a couple of encounters, but it can get a little hairy when you're trying to use it in good old Atrax. It can get hairy at times. So very, very excited for that. All right, Corey.
Oh boy.
We've got some exotics to talk about here, including the belle of the ball today.
Oh boy.
The Monte Carlo.
Yeah, let's go.
This is absolutely wild. We finally did it. It was mechanically the most complex catalyst we have ever done, requiring a host of custom animation work and a lot of things we have never done on a weapon before. We hope that you enjoy it. There's a quick little video here, about a 15-second video that shows you. It shows it being used, and then it shows them activating the perk as well.
Yeah, that was awesome. Love it.
Oh man, it's so cool. This shit is awesome. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm so happy that they're doing this.
Very happy they're doing it. It's been a long time. It's very well deserved. I can't wait. Monte Carlo is already a great weapon. It's getting even better now. It has been estimated that I forget who it was who ran some numbers, but it appears that may do the same amount of damage as a honed edge shot from Izanagi. If that's the case, this thing's getting nerfed. But that sounds very cool in theory.
Mm-hmm.
There's some visual bugs being fixed with Quicksilver Storm and Dead Man's Tail. Two-tailed Fox reworked the Catalyst perk Third Tail. Performance of this weapon was just a little bit off, so we've changed it to fire the third rocket following the second rocket instead of at the same time, which helps it lean harder into the Three Tails fantasy. Two-tailed Fox now fires a 3-shot burst with the Catalyst instead of firing 3 rockets and a 2-shot burst. Good, because I can't tell you how many times people were blowing themselves up next to me trying to use this. Vergilus Curve. We fixed an issue where if Whisper of Fissures gets the kill, it does not count for the Hail Barrage stacks. We've also buffed the weapon performance in PvP when using Hail Barrage. Slow stacks have been increased from 40 to 60 when hitting players directly with Hail Barrage. This allows for a freeze if 2 Hail Barrage arrows hit the same player. Le Monarch. Here we go. Here it is.
Here we go.
Lemon has long been a thorn in the side of many high-end PvP players. The massive chunk damage hit hard. The long DOT duration kept you out of the fight for what felt like eternity. We've decided to address both facets of this problem at the same time by shifting Le Monarch using the same damage profile as a lightweight bow. Now deals 85 damage on impact to the body and 136 to the head against players. We've also reduced the DOT duration from 3 seconds down to 1.75, which makes it feel significantly less painful to be hit by this weapon. The DOT deals the same total damage as before against players, divided into 6 ticks instead of 8. We've increased the DOT damage in PvE by 50%. PvE, this should result in a slight DPS increase, with the reduced impact damage being offset by the faster draw time and the increased DOT. Reduced draw time from 684 milliseconds to 612. Reduced body shot damage from 100 to 85. Critical hit multiplier from 1.5 to 1.6. Critical hit damage against players goes from 150 down to 136. I don't know if this is enough. I'm going to be real. I understand that they don't want to run it into the ground, but I genuinely don't know if this is enough. I suspect this weapon is getting another pass at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be this season, but I think that the beginning of season 23, it would not shock me if they said, hey, we've got another little minor nerf to do to Le Monarch. I still think that, I think it's going to come to the DOT. I think it'll honestly come to that. The body shot damage is fine. I still think the DOT that's the primary point of concern. So I'll be very curious to see what happens there. Let's talk Vex Mythoclast.
Vex Mythoclast.
It's been very strong in PvP for some time, having secretly benefited from a number of buffs to auto rifles that have increased its usability. With auto rifles getting another bump to range in Season 22, we felt Vex has been pushed up a notch too far. We've reduced its RPM from 390 to 360. At the same time, we wanted to make sure this was not a DPS decrease in PvE, so we've increased its damage to compensate. It's got a 25% damage increase in PvE, which is great, but I'm very curious to see how this plays as a 360 versus a 390. I think it's going to be probably a pretty minuscule change, but and this feels like something that can be switched back if it needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it's just a problem with how it's classified ultimately.
Yeah.
Because it is an auto rifle. It's basically an auto rifle and a linear in one. I mean, it's what an exotic weapon should be. It's kind of wacky. God, Touch of Malice. There's so much here for Touch of Malice.
Touch of Malice.
Man.
Touch Malice.
I gotta take a break for a second. I have a wicked migraine right now that I have felt coming on throughout the episode. A Touch of Malice is a strong weapon, but the usability of the gun was just too low in any content where it mattered. It's due in large part to how easily it is to unintentionally kill yourself. When we brought it back, we increased the amount of self-damage the final round dealt to the user because there are far more ways to self-heal in D2 than there were when the gun made an appearance in Destiny 1. We believe we've gone too far. To make it up for you, the final round now deals 20% additional damage in PvE. Additionally, we have reduced the damage deals to the user, and it can no longer kill the user. Ooh. This isn't to say you can't die when you're at low health, but the weapon itself will not be the thing that kills you. It will hold you at 1 HP if you continue to fire it for too long. We've also set up the Touch of Malice perk to be a lot more useful and easier to activate, and have fixed the Ball of Darkness to correctly deal arc damage, blinding PvE combatants.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so there's some stuff there. Increase the health awarded by the Touch of Malice perk from 30 to 75.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. Sets up Touch of Malice to work like unrelenting. So that actually could be really spicy. Um, Malfeasance, another one where hey, we're fixing a visual bug. Vorpal Weapon Catalyst will be displayed in the status buff. Cloud Strike. Cloud Strike has recently become more prevalent, but getting killed by the explosion because your semi nearby teammate chose the wrong lane to peek feels bad. We want to maintain the exotic fantasy of the weapon and the core strength, but we felt the actual lethal distance itself could come down a bit. Players within the radius will still take damage, so in the hands of a skilled player, the weapon will still be a highly effective tool, but now you'll be much less likely to die if you aren't within a much smaller radius of your teammate when they get killed. That's good because it feels really bad to be like 15 feet away from them and die.
Yeah. Hate that.
And then the big one for me, Wicked Implement is getting the exotic catalyst for Wicked Implement is now going to grant the Headstone perk. Very
Ooh.
excited for that. I think that this is a really fun weapon. I wish it was a little bit better, but I do think the changes they made have been good. I need to play with it a bit more. Um, but man, Headstone on a scout rifle,
Mm.
always a very quick way to my heart.
Yes. That is a win.
Always.
That is a win.
That is a win. We've got a few perks to talk about, and then, oh boy, there's a lot of crafting changes, which is what I'm most excited about here. So let's fly through some of these perks. Bipod, the damage penalty has been reduced from 40% to 25%. We want to see how people would combine it with other perks and effects in the wild to improve their DPS. Bipod it was a good idea, but it never really worked. I've dismantled a number of rocket launchers from the dungeon with this perk on it. I think I still kept one of them, and I really hope I did because Chill Clip is getting nerfed into the ground later on in this, which I'm not happy about. Envious Assassin. It's already a strong perk, but the mental overhead of remembering to swap to your weapon before the invisible time limit expired, combined with it no longer working once your magazine was overflowed by any amount, made it slightly less fun to use. There is no longer a time limit on kills within which you must activate the perk or get another kill. It will now activate even if the magazine is overflowed. It will stop activating once you hit maximum magazine size of 2.5 times or greater. An enhanced Envious Assassin now provides fractionally more ammo per kill instead of a longer window of time after a kill. Very excited for this. Again, using it on rockets. Love it. Absolutely love it. Under Over was too niche for its own good. Now provides bonus body shot damage against players with Woven Mail, increased bonus damage against combatant shields, and deals significantly increased damage to enemies who are enhanced by Dark Cabal over shields or Lucent Moths. Under Pressure, accuracy cone has been reduced from 0.5 to 0.75. Shoot to loot. Shoot to loot.
Mm.
Oh boy. No longer requires no longer triggers the reload when shooting a special brick that cannot be picked up while also having an overflowed weapon equipped. Explosive damage now interacts with orbs of power. We'll see. Shoot to loot is a perk that sounds cool, and then you realize there's like 15 other things you'd rather have in its spot.
Yeah.
Literally like every single perk.
Yeah. Also, like, since primary ammo is infinite now, and like there's so many other ways to have special and heavy ammo drop now, it's like, do you really want to be aiming at a box when there's enemies flying around you?
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that's definitely part of it too.
Yeah.
Um, explosive light. There's no more free explosive damage, but don't worry, there are more than enough orbs of power to go around. Fix the bug where the enhanced version of the perk is granting 2 stacks on the initial orb pickup. And then Chill Clip. This is the most consequential one to me. I held a morning session yesterday afternoon for this perk. Chill Clip has become something of a must-have multi-tool. It was a little too easy to deal with all 3 types of champions at once. We have made it significantly more difficult, or we made it slightly more difficult to get the full freeze effect, which should move it back to being closer in line with other perk options. Reduce slow stacks from 60 to 40. Wolf pack rounds no longer trigger this perk. So people are holding funerals for Riptide right now.
Rip
I,
Tide.
on the other hand, am holding mourning for Bump in the Night.
Oh, Bump in the Night's so
Man,
good, man.
my beloved Bump in the Night. Man,
Rip.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sad to see it go. And then it's like, crap. The other rocket launcher I was using a lot also has chill clip on it. the one from the dungeon. So
Yeah.
I got to figure out what I'm going to do for rocket DPS pretty quickly before the next raid. But that's it for those weapons. Corey, we have some crafting updates that we're going to get to right here, and some economy changes, as well as a specific change to Neomuna that I am thrilled about. Uh, Weapon progression earning. What's changing? Let's take a look at this. While Shirochi style weapon farming is not ideal, instead of nerfing that type of behavior and taking the option away from players, we've decided to buff weapon level progression obtained through more meaningful methods like activity completions and PvP kills, which should have been a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. We're boosting activity completion progress across activity types, including Crucible, Trials of Osiris, Dares of Eternity, Wellspring, Gambit, and Platinum score completions of Legend and Master Solo Lost Sectors. We're also adding the capability for progress that exceeds the current level to roll over to the next level. So, for instance, you weren't, if you were leveling up, you weren't able to, if you hit the limit, you didn't get the overflow XP, like say from the end of a activity.
Yep.
Which is really frustrating. Man, I'm so happy for this. As a result of the rollover change, weapon leveling through completing activities should see a large overall increase in efficacy, not just limited to specific activity types we're explicitly modifying for Season 22. Great. To round out progression changes, we're also adding the capability to directly increase a weapon's level through currency expenditure. Crafted and enhanced weapons will both receive a new mod slot in their weapon details, where you can spend Glimmer and Enhancement cores to boost the level of the weapon. This mod will increase the weapon's level directly, leaving your existing progress toward the next level untouched. While there is no cap to how far you can boost a weapon's level to, the cost of this boosting will increase relative to the level of the weapon. Weapon usage is meant to be the main path for increasing a weapon's level. However, with the restrictions of how many weapons you can level at a time, the always increasing expansion to the amount of weapons that have a level, we wanted to provide an alternate method of leveling that allows for the jump starting of a crafted weapon and also the ability to level a larger amount of weapons stockpiled in your inventory. We do not want the cost to feel prohibitive. However, we do want players to have to make choices over which weapons they want to boost. Love it. Absolutely love it. This is a godsend for heavy weapons and for precision weapons like
Yep.
snipers. Absolute godsend. Like your primaries are going to continue to be perfectly fine. This is a godsend though. This and paired with the other update for activity completions is just such a godsend. I can't tell you how aggravating it was trying to get Bump in the Night leveled for the day one Root of Nightmares. That was just an awful experience across the board.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad this change is coming now, especially because you'll have 10 days to play around with this new system before the next raid.
Yeah.
So thrilled for that. Crafting economy changes. Resonant and harmonic alloys will be deprecated as a required material and will no longer be obtained during a dismantle starting in Season 22. We're planning on removing these materials entirely from the game at some point in the future, but until then, your remaining materials will be available to be exchanged for Glimmer at Rahul in the tower. Tell him hi for us. The final one. This is absolutely my biggest highlight out of this entire thing. I love the Monte Carlo Catalyst. I love the crafting changes. Neomuna weapon pattern acquisition. In
Ooh.
Season 22, we're making changes to help tackle the scarcity problem.
Scarcity
The
problem?
Neomuna, yes, because I don't know if you've heard about my saga with these
No,
goddamn red
I
borders,
know, but
Corey.
it's like non-existent half the time.
Pretty much. Starting in Season 22, the Neomuna Weekly Pinnacle Story Mission Score Challenge will provide guaranteed Neomuna weapon pattern progress the first time it is completed each week. The Neomuna Vendor Engram upgrade will increase the drop chance of Deep Sight Neomuna weapons. This is retroactive if you have already claimed the Vendor upgrade. The Throne World Vendor upgrade, Vendor Engram upgrade, God, say that 5 times fast, will receive the same behavior for Throne World Deep Sight weapons, and again, this will be retroactive. Season 22 will also include a bug fix in the underlying deep sight drop system that manifested from the major overhaul we did in Lightfall. This bug could decrease the deep sight drop rate as you neared completion of a pattern set. Although this deep sight bug on its own would normally have a low impact on deep sight behavior, this was exacerbated when coupled with the lack of deterministic deep sight sources for Neomuna weapons. Let me tell you something.
Tell me something,
I
Josh.
am at like 3 or 4 out of 5 on almost every single one of these goddamn weapons. I have felt this in my soul. Joasis has joked that for the entire season of Defiance, anytime that he logged on, it just said that I was on Miamuna, and it's because I wanted these goddamn red borders and I couldn't get them to drop anywhere. I was so upset. I got so tired of doing VIP patrols, man. I'm just so done. I'm so excited that I might be able to craft the pulse rifle before the final shape now. Just saying, it's been a source of constant agitation for me. It's causing problems with my blood pressure. I'm happy I'll finally be able to craft the one fucking weapon I want from this planet. Just one. I only have one weapon I want, and it's the stupid pulse. Because it has volt shot. That's the only reason I want it.
Oh, man.
While we believe crafting is in line with our original vision since the launch of the Witch Queen, we're still making necessary changes to the system and are in the middle of developing a large crafting-related feature targeted for the year of the final shape. We'll provide more details about these upcoming changes after they spend a bit more time in the oven. We're excited to share more. I would probably expect to hear about this maybe around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Or in the beginning of next year. I don't think they'll hold it for the Vidoc. I do think that we're going to hear about it ahead of time because the final shape year could mean anything from we're going to launch it with the final shape to it's coming with the 10th anniversary, or as we saw with the LFG, it got announced last year as coming with Lightfall and it got pushed all the way back to the last season. So who knows when this feature will come, and I'm curious to see what they mean by this. I really hope it just means that every weapon is craftable, but that's probably unrealistic. But Corey, with that, we're done with this blog.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm sure we're done. Thank fucking God.
What about the link at the bottom for part 2?
I have no. Oh my God, I would just quit. I think I would absolutely 100% quit.
Oh man, I mean, this was a beefy episode. I gotta tell you, we actually blew through it pretty quickly, though, to be honest. But well, you did. I agreed and went, yep.
Oh my God.
You feeling all right, Josh?
I gotta take a drink.
You need a sip. Sippy,
Yeah,
sippy.
I need a sip. I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm drinking ginger ale. But yeah,
minus the ginger. Ha! No, I'm just kidding.
I wish, but no.
Anyways,
all right.
Now what, Josh? Where are we going now?
Oh boy, we have questions to answer, Corey.
Yes, we do.
We have questions to answer. Thankfully, none of these are too bad. I want to give a special shout out before we start questions to Saint 14, who may or may not work for a certain beverage distributor, and I had to reach out to him this week to confirm a picture that I saw on social media about the return of a beloved soda.
Game Fuel?
That is my all-time favorite non-alcoholic drink is the original 2007 Mountain Dew Game Fuel.
Yeah. The Halo 3 cans?
The Halo 3 cans, they did it again with World of Warcraft and for Halo 4. We have not seen it since 2014, I believe, is the last time that we got this.
So what game is it going with? Call of Duty, I'm assuming?
It is going with Halo Infinite and Diablo 4.
Oh, what? Whoa.
Xbox is sponsored by Xbox. I have already seen the bottles, but yes, Saint did reach out to me because he teased a secret. He teased a secret a couple weeks ago that he couldn't tell me, and then I saw the picture on social media and just called him out in front of the entire Discord. I was like, I need confirmation if this is real or not. But yes, I am extremely excited. I joked that I may need a case or 5.
Yeah.
That I just seriously, and it's funny because there's 2 types of Game Fuel coming. There's the original Game Fuel, and then there's a new flavor. The new flavor is the Diablo branded one.
Blood.
Halo
blood.
is of course getting the classic
Game Fuel Bloodthirst edition.
It's like some purple flavor.
Oh, purple.
It actually sounds kind of good, but I don't care because classic Game Fuel is coming back, Corey.
Dude, I'm so excited.
So I had to shout out Saint there really quickly.
We better
love you, buddy.
Better be sending us a case. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Dealer writes in and asks us, do you think we will eventually get another Darkness subclass? And do you want another subclass? All I'm going to say is tune in on Tuesday.
Yep.
Tune in on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
that'll answer if we're getting another subclass or not. Spoiler alert: we totally are.
Yep.
They're not going to leave it with 2 and 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3 and 3 totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, of course, I'm fine with another subclass. I think anything that shakes up the meta more is fine.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think it provides just a lot of more options when it comes to like, not even like damage, but like weapons.
Yeah.
I like the changes they can bring there, and I like the changes the different abilities can bring. I do think we're approaching a point though where it's going to be really hard to introduce subclasses in the future.
Mm-hmm.
This does kind of make me feel like Beyond Light was probably supposed to be the beginning of a Destiny 3. With how we've gotten 3 new subclasses now.
Yeah.
Well, 2. We're probably getting a third announced on Tuesday morning.
Do you think? Man, never mind. That's too big of a question to tackle this late in the show.
What is it? Hit me.
I was going to say, if they do some sort of Destiny 3, do you think they would keep a subsection of subclasses and then remove a couple to add new ones later? Like the light subclasses would maybe just like go away, or like some of them.
Yeah, so I feel like the only one you could like really get rid of would maybe be Arc.
Yeah.
Now I could see in a future Destiny game keeping the 3 light subclasses and getting rid of the darkness ones,
Mm-hmm.
and being like, well, that was for that point in time.
Yeah.
Or like keeping something like Strand because of the mobility it offers and just the kind of like wacky stuff you can do with it. And it's like the whole explanation they gave us, because it's not poison, it's tapping into the river of life, like it's some
Right.
Pocahontas bullshit. I don't know.
Jeez.
I don't know. When I hear about like the river of life shit, I think of the life stream from Final Fantasy VII, and then all I want to do is go fight Sephiroth. So I have no idea. I have no idea what they could potentially do. I think I want to see what a third darkness subclass looks like first before tackling that.
Yeah.
Because I have a really hard time believing that we introduce another subclass and then like get rid of these 3 newer ones as soon as we launch another expansion. But I also can't see us ever getting rid of Solar, Void, and Arc. I think they showed how those can be reworked
Mm-hmm.
in a new context, going from what we had in Destiny 1 to what we had at the launch of Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So,
do you see like, and this would actually probably be really like even worse, but like, okay, most of the hunters are known to be gunslingers. Do you think they would keep 1 light subclass and get rid of 2 or something like that along the way?
no, I think that would be too controversial.
And then like Titans would be like, I don't know, Arc, and then
So I would actually really hate that. I hated it at the launch of Destiny 1
yeah,
because as a hunter, I couldn't play Void for the entire first year.
yeah,
I thought that was just horrible and horribly imbalanced.
yeah.
I would be super against that. I did see a question earlier today floating around social media. If you had to get rid of 1 light class,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be out of Solar, Arc, and Void?
I mean, for me, it would be Arc. I think throwing hammers
I
is
think
too cool, and I use Void way too much.
so. Yeah, I kind of broke it down, and the conclusion I came to was Arc as well,
Mm-hmm.
because Void, I think everybody has a unique thing there. I mean, obviously, Warlocks have the damage with Nova Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Titans have Bubble, and Hunters have the damage debuff with the tether and with the invisibility kit.
Yeah.
Solar, you have the Well. Like you said, you have hammers.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have hammers and you have Big Hammer.
Big hammer. Big hammer.
And then Hunters have Golden Gun, and they're not going to take Golden Gun away ever. That's, I would argue, it's the most iconic super.
Yeah.
Arc though, I mean, yeah, you're gonna lose out on Fists of Havoc, but like, what is Arc's thing? So like, Solar's thing is supposed to be restoration, and I would say invisibility and debuffing is Void's. What's Arc? Just damage
For
like
yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
That's like all I can think of.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy, I'm gonna lose Arc Staff. Oh boy. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the new Arc Staff. And to be clear, I don't think that they'll ever do this, but this was just a fun thought exercise I was thinking of, and I was like, yeah, like at the Reddit thread I saw it, and pretty much unanimous. So I was like, yeah, Arc would be the one to go.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when someone pointed out, they were like, well, somebody was like, I think I would probably go with Solar. And they were like, but if you get rid of Arc, somebody else goes, if you get rid of Arc, that means Fists of Havoc Titans are gone. And that person immediately changed their answer.
Yeah.
That was hilarious, seeing how that was the deciding factor for so many people,
And like even
was
if you
Arc
got
Titans and PvP.
and even if you got rid of Arc Titans, you still have you still have a Stasis Titan, which is almost the same thing.
Yeah, you have Stasis Titan, you still have hammers,
Mhm.
and I would argue like none of those are as good as Arc. But anyways, it was a fun thought exercise. It's never going to happen. I'm expecting hate mail from Johnny in the middle of the night now because I suggested getting rid of his beloved Thunder Crash.
Aw.
Jiggly Panda writes in and asks, "What do you think the new armor set that we're getting for free will look like next season?" I have no fucking clue.
Probably the
I
one
have
in the
no
picture.
idea. Well, that's the
Oh,
seasonal set. I
yeah.
think they're talking about the Eververse set that's being made
Hmm.
free. No idea.
Hmm.
No
They
idea.
wouldn't do two collaborations in a row, would they?
I mean, they have done 2 collaborations in a row. They did the Assassin's Creed and the PlayStation sets back to back.
Were those back to back?
Yep.
Wait, the Assassin's Creed was last season?
No, Assassin's Creed was back to back with Fortnite.
Oh,
Excuse me.
yeah, you're right.
They have done back to back.
I was gonna say, I feel like the Assassin's Creed one was so long ago.
No, we had 1 season off in the last 4 from collaborations.
Man, I mean,
So
what would the collaboration even be? Would it be more PlayStation themed ones? Like, I don't even know what the
I hope not. I
crossover would
hope we're
be.
done with the collabs for a while. I just really hope we are. They're not going to give away a collaboration set for free though.
No.
Like that's the thing I keep coming back to. They're not going to
Mhm.
give that away for free. So they had to have said that knowing that this season they didn't have a collab lined up.
Mhm.
So that's the cynicist in me,
Mhm.
but that's what I'm thinking. Honestly, like the set to make free probably would have been the PlayStation stuff, but
Yeah.
gonna just let that go away. So Jiggly Panda, I have no idea. We won't see this set until partway through the next season, so I don't know what it's gonna look like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I am curious. I am very curious. Tiger Jesus 64 writes in, "What are some of your favorite Keith David roles?"
Oh God.
I mean, Captain Anderson has to be.
Yeah. I mean,
Captain
that's
Anderson and the Arbiter have to be the top 2.
yeah. I mean that's how I even knew who Keith David was because I'm not like a big movie guy, but like,
I
I
mean, he mainly does a lot of voice acting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the villain in Princess and the Frog.
Is he really Dr. Falcifer?
Yeah.
I never made that connection. He's the president in Rick and Morty. I do like that.
Oh God.
I'm betting it all on Rick
Uh,
and Morty.
God.
I'm looking through Keith David, some of the things that he's been in. Uh,
Chronicles of Riddick, man.
he's in Chronicles of Riddick. He is the narrator in Princess Mononoke
What?
in the English dub.
Oh wow.
Didn't put that together either, but yeah, he's in Chronicles of Riddick. He's in Pitch Black. Uh, my man was the CIA director in Agent Cody Banks.
Oh God.
And you remember when Frankie Muniz was supposed to be a thing?
Yeah. Well, isn't he like a NASCAR racer, an F1 racer now?
I have no idea. I try not to keep up on my Frankie Muniz news.
Man, Josh, I thought you'd be all over that.
You know, it's always the people you least suspect.
It's true.
Yeah, don't look at the movies he's been in over the last decade. It's just like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
This is bad. I don't think any of these got actual releases.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think so. So,
He's in Saints
of course,
Row?
dude, he was Keith the handyman on Mister Rogers'
I
Neighborhood.
know, and he fixed the Donkey Kong machine.
I love that you know that piece of trivia. That genuinely thrills me.
You're welcome.
I cannot believe you.
Yeah. Because it was
The-
that I remember the lesson in that episode was like the kid was playing the arcade machine. He was like, I also like to go outside or something. And that was like the big lesson of the thing is like everything in moderation or something.
I love that that's the piece of Keith David trivia that you
It's very little Keith David
that is
trivia,
just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I love it so
but
much. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to top the Arbiter
yeah.
for me.
Yeah. And I mean Captain Anderson too, man. Those are like the two. Those are the two, man.
Nothing will ever top him yelling at me in Modern Warfare 2 though to get to the Burger Town.
Oh God.
I'm waiting. Is Zavala gonna order me to get into the Burger Town in the final shape?
Guardian, go to Burger Town.
Guardian, we have to protect the Burger Town.
Jesus.
I'm ready. Joe Aces posted a meme about that, and I laughed for a solid 3 or 4 minutes at it. My girlfriend did not understand what was so funny, so I had to go find a clip of the Burger Town on YouTube, and I was like, "Yeah, we had 2 entire levels of Modern Warfare 2 based around a fucking Burger King, essentially, a Burger King and a half-rate Denny's. It was great. It was great. It's a horrible level."
Okay. Did you know that he's Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11?
I do now. I've now gotten to that line.
Did you know he's Nick Fury in Marvel Heroes, the short-lived semi RPG?
I did not, but I do find it funny that his role in Saints Row 4 is Vice President Keith David.
That's so funny.
No, he's fucking great though. I love Keith David. And I would assume that like 99% of us know him from his video game roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Arbiter taking over for Zavala feels fitting.
Yeah.
I can't wait. The Arbiter is, for anybody who doesn't know anything about me, the Arbiter is one of my most beloved characters across any medium ever.
Yeah. The Arbiter's cool, man.
God, dude, so fucking good.
I wish we'd get an Arbiter game.
Well, that might be a question for the Xbox casuals down the line.
Yeah.
When we hit a slow point.
Okay, so like next year.
Yeah, we're not gonna have any slow time. Jesus. Did you see the install size for Starfield today?
I did.
126 gigs on console.
I know.
I already pre-installed it.
Well,
I'm ready.
That explains why that 1 terabyte Series S is coming out.
Man, I'm so ready. It's also being bundled with like every console, it seems like, past like the 15th of September.
Yeah.
Because I searched Starfield on Amazon and there were a number of bundles, including the digital code for it.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean,
makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there's going to be a Starfield bundle, there's going to be a Forza bundle, and there'll probably be a Madden bundle at some point, right? So there's always a Madden bundle.
They've actually kind of stopped with it lately. Ziltax, next season's armor looks a lot like the Abiant Leap exotic. Do you think we'll finally get to meet the spider people? I'm gonna go with no, and here's the only reason I'm gonna go with no. I think they're gonna leave those to be like in lore or like, you know, as like an Easter egg, because so many people have arachnophobia.
Yeah.
I think that makes it really, really difficult to do things like that. I really love how Grounded did it, where you had a scaler, and it's almost more terrifying to have a giant black blob running at you.
Yeah. Or like, remember in early access, it was just a white ball for like a snowman.
Oh my god, that was even worse.
Yeah, with like the red eyes. That's even scarier.
Oh, dude, I was terrified. And so it's what got me to stop playing Grounded for a while.
Yeah.
I would say that I think that that's probably what's going to happen at some point. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Abiant Leaps, man, they're fucking dope.
Yeah.
I don't play a Titan, but those look really, really cool.
Yeah.
Are those on Titans? I don't know if those are. Yeah, those look like they are. Yes.
Maybe?
Yes. Sorry, I was looking at something, and the image I'm looking at kind of looked like a hunter iridescent cloak in the back. I realized that it's just a see-through bath towel. Cade Zace in the hole writes in, what is one exotic you wish would get a retune, either good or bad, going into the next season?
Oh God.
I personally, well, I mean, I've already said it. I would do a little bit more to Le Monarch personally. Just because it really is like the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
I would like to see things like Galley do a little bit more damage. If you're going to take away one of the main damage perks for rockets, I would like to see that compensated in other ways. But I get that you don't want like 6 Gallarhorns running around either.
Yeah.
So we had enough of that in Destiny 1.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually wish Eternal Warrior would get some sort of rework, because like just seems kind of.
It just did.
Not
it just did this season.
Not Eternal Warrior. God, what am I talking about? Now I'm lost. I don't know, man. I don't know. I knew that. I just kind of forgot, I guess. Let's see. Kepler's horn is cool. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for this. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's fair. That's fair. And then Kate also asks us, "What is your favorite three-person activity to do, whether it be a nightmare hunt, an empire hunt, etc." Um, man, well, neither of those.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's dungeons. I really like dungeons.
Yeah, can we count? Do we count
I
dungeons?
mean, it's three.
Because if
Yeah,
dungeons can be counted, I'm going for
yeah.
dungeons.
I mean, dungeons are like, for me, they're like the best of both worlds. Of like, it's kind of a raid, but it's kind of not. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like this was the original intent behind raid layers.
Yeah.
Um, I really, really, really like dungeons.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've really missed with a dungeon either. Pit of Heresy's probably like, I mean, we did our preliminary rankings of them.
Yeah.
Um, Sammy and I did, and I think we both had Pit of Heresy at the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's between that and Shattered Throne at the bottom. But
I mean, Shattered Throne is still really fucking good.
yeah, I just,
But I agree. We've moved so much further in terms of
I mean,
mechanics since
you
then.
look at Duality is amazing. Like Prophecy is awesome. Uh, even Grasp is like it's fun and cheesy and kind of dumb.
Mm, so my problem with Grasp and why I ranked Grasp lower than I probably would have, that whole disarming the shield encounter is such a fucking slog. It's
Hmm.
so bad.
Yeah,
I hate doing that every single time.
yeah,
Every single time I do that dungeon, I hate it.
yeah.
Dealer writes in and asks, so Savathun is dead, but if we resurrect her next season, won't her memory be gone again? No,
No,
because Savathun has a ghost.
yeah,
You only lose your memories if you're rezzed for the first time by a ghost.
yeah.
That's why Savathun had this entire plan, and her witches and the Lightblade and Imaru all told her what was going
Hmm.
on. And since we're reviving our enemy, do you think we're gonna have to kill her again? Um, I actually don't know if they're gonna have us kill her. I think it's really an enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend thing, and if they really are intending for this to be the end of the Light and Dark saga,
Yeah,
I don't think that if Savathun dies, I don't think we're the one to kill her.
yeah. I think it's gonna be. I think Zivo Wrath is gonna be involved in some sort of.
I think her and Zivu Arath kill each other.
Yeah,
I think they kill each other, and then obviously, like the witness or something like snaps her ghost to be like, well, that's a piece off your board.
yeah.
That would feel like the most logical explanation to me. But I mean, we still need to see Ziva Wrath in the flesh, like, and that's the whole problem. Is like, I love that they're promising that they're going to wrap things up by the final shape, but there's so many plot lines that I just don't know if you're going to adequately finish them.
Yeah.
We still got Aramis to deal with. We've got so many other moving pieces that
Mm,
something is going to have to suffer as a result.
yeah, but I still feel like the Aramis storyline is like one of the ones that I feel like could exist after the final shape in some form, whether she like
Um.
joins the House of Light or has her own
Well,
things to
so
deal
what
with.
I mean by resolving her is we have to resolve her villain arc.
Yeah,
Um.
which I think could become in a
Because
season, right? I mean, that could come in a season.
my biggest problem is, like, do we resolve that before or after the final shape?
Mm,
Because if you're promising that you're going to wrap up the Light and Dark saga, I think that you have to definitively finish the villain arcs of Savathun and Aramis, because they were expansion villains.
mhm.
They're the two expansion villains still alive.
Yeah,
So, and I think at this point it would be a cop out to give Aramis a ghost also,
yeah,
because then that would mean that three villains all got rezzed by ghosts:
yeah,
Uldren, her, and Savathun.
yeah.
And I think that creates a problem eventually.
Hmm.
Narratively, I think that just feels really lazy. There will be an Elixni Guardian, and it's going to be Mithrax.
Yeah.
It's going to be Mithrax or Ido. It's one of the two.
I mean, I
Um,
would I would almost say it's going to be Ido at this point.
I hope it's not. I hope it fucking isn't.
Why?
I see. I want it to be Mithrax because Ido is described. She's the only one who knows the entire history of the Elixni at this point.
Oh yeah, you're right.
she can't lose that knowledge. She needs to be the one to be able to tell Mithrax where they came from, what they're doing, who everybody is, etc. Like it, I think that would be such a powerful arc for Mithrax to go on with Ido and Saint and Osiris.
Yeah.
That I'd be very interested to see what happens there. Ziltax writes in and asks us, "Do you think the Crown of Sorrow will be involved in the resurrection of Savathun?"
Yep.
Yup. Yup. Yep. Savathun wanted the Crown of Sorrow in her possession, remember, leading up to the Witch Queen, when she was impersonating Osiris. So it is worth remembering that. It is currently in Eris Morn's care. We know that Eris and Ikora are going to be involved somehow with this resurrection ritual.
Yeah.
I would say that it's going to have to be a part of it because it was meant to possess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was meant to possess Callus originally, to make Callus do her bidding, and instead he put it on Galran and led to just one of the all-time worst boss fights.
Yeah.
Returning for the first time in a very long time. Happy to see you right back in. Tomcat and Socks writes in.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. No question this week, but I'd like to make a prediction for the showcase. With all the communication problems and drama Bungie has had recently over the past year, I predict they will bring Deej back at the showcase. Pretty sure they quoted something he said a few twits ago, referring to a legend once said. I look for the showcase to be a huge home run for Bungie, and what better way to do that than bringing back everyone's favorite community manager? What do you guys think?
Where's he at now?
He's at Iron Galaxy.
People don't leave Iron Galaxy.
So here's part of my problem with it is he left there to go be he left to go run their communications, not just be their CM, but to run their communications in general.
Mm-hmm.
He moved all the way to Chicago for it.
Mm-hmm.
I like Deej a lot. I want to be really clear. I like Deej a lot. I think that bringing Deej back would be seen as trying to return to the old Bungie ways by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be bad, but I think I think the game has kind of grown beyond him.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that he wasn't good. I also think, I believe he said when he left that he wanted a new challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this is too far fetched though. I've seen more than a few people speculate that he could be coming back. I just don't know why you would save that as an announcement for the showcase rather than just outright. That to me would be the quickest way to get some credibility after a disastrous state of the game would have been for him to be a part of the video with Joe.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that he's posted anything recently about leaving. He was just talking about being back in office recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, like, I mean, I don't know, man. People don't leave Iron Galaxy either. People go to Iron Galaxy because they're like a pretty stable company. They always like, I mean, I know Rumbleverse got shut down, but they've had projects outside of that. Like
they're working on Killer Instinct right
yeah.
now.
So I don't know, man. I feel like I don't think that's happening, to be honest.
I would be very interested to see if he leaves or not. I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, it'll never happen. But I mean, it could. He's been at Iron Galaxy for several years at this point. I don't know. I'm gonna choose to be a little bit of a party pooper here and say that I don't think it's gonna happen. But it's also entirely possible that he does. I feel like he would have announced that he was leaving Iron Galaxy already if that was the case.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have left his Twitter profile literally saying head of communications at Iron Galaxy and having a link to the website and stuff.
Yeah.
There would be no way to get around that. This was recorded several weeks ago too, so why would you keep that in your bio for weeks after being rehired?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I think pokes a hole in Tomcat's theory is that if Joe hadn't said they recorded this weeks ago, I could be persuaded to believe this.
Yeah.
Now whether they pursue a reunion down the road now that they have the backing of SIE is another thing entirely. But I don't see it in the cards right now.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think they need to get someone else needs to go in there as the head of communications.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that if Deej did come back, he would not be assuming a community manager role. He would be assuming his old role as head of communications,
Yeah.
which they've kind of had like a hodgepodge of people in that position
Hmm.
since. I think Cosmo was like kind of unofficially stepped into it,
Yeah.
maybe officially at this point. But it really, and I mean, let's be honest, like Cosmo's not as, and it's not a knock on him at all. He's not nearly as outgoing as Deej and Damage were.
Right.
Um, and I mean, like different personalities, different strokes. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we've really needed a voice for the last year or so, and haven't had that due to various factors, as Joe covered in his video. Um, yeah, it could happen. There was a rumor that went around a couple years ago. It was between Beyond Light and the Witch Queen that there were people inside the studio who weren't like his biggest fan.
Hmm.
And I don't know how that got spun up. Everything else from that post was true. That felt like a personal shot.
Yeah.
Now that we know where a lot of those leaks came from.
Hmm.
Um
Huh.
RIP certain content creators.
Yeah.
Um
Rip.
yeah, rip. Literally you ripped apart your entire fucking
Yeah.
gig, but good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. Huh.
Ay, 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 ay. And then we have one final question tonight.
Final question.
Final question for tonight and before the showcase. Hail Hydra writes in and goes, just in case, I'm probably too late, but what raid do you think we're getting? Last chance prediction. It's Crota.
Hmm.
It's Crota. The writing is on the wall at this point.
Yeah.
It's a hive themed season. They've been clear that they want to keep, things kind of aligned. I know that they went off of that with Kingsfall, but they've been clear they want to keep it aligned.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Which is like, it's kind of disappointing, but I understand from like a
it's
development.
disappointing.
Just
It's disappointing.
I understand from like a development standpoint. Like,
So here's the craziest thing about it from a development standpoint. They said in the past that if they were to bring it back, they would have to completely rework it.
well, maybe they reworked it. Maybe they completely reworked it. Maybe there's an
I
expanded section. Maybe
I fucking hate this. I fucking hate everything about this theory.
I mean,
And I'm the one who just said it too.
plus they don't have to make a new exotic, right? I mean, if you brought back Wrath, you'd have to design a brand new
I
exotic
mean,
for it
they're
too.
gonna have to. No Land Beyond cannot be your exotic.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a reworked version of Necrozm,
Yeah.
which is fine, but it feels like there's a lot of work that's gonna have to go into making Crota's End work as a raid versus like, oh, they could have thrown it into like a 10th anniversary pack as a dungeon as it exists,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that, of course, part of that is me poo-pooing all of this, and I have a very soft spot for Crota in my heart. It's the raid I've done the most times easily, but I just I don't know. I think we've evolved so much since that was a raid.
Yeah.
That would be a dungeon these days.
Yeah.
Even as it existed in Destiny 1, that would be a fucking dungeon.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing. I mean, even Vault of Glass, like I love Vault of Glass, for being the first raid, and that'll always have legacy points in my rankings. But even a year later, with Kingsfall and then with Wrath, it was clear how much raids had evolved already.
Yeah. Dude,
And
Kingsfall,
like
Kingsfall, man.
Kingsfall's still so fucking good.
Dude,
It's still so fucking good.
it's God, it's so fucking good.
We've done and we've gotten better raids since then. Is the crazy part. I mean, I would say that I think Valid Disciple, in terms of like the mechanics and encounters, is much more challenging. I think that we've had more creative raids, but yeah, I like Crota was the easiest raid to teach people. It was what got me into raiding. I really liked it. There, the whole like Gallarhorn, debacle of you have to have Galley or Kick. Is something that we laugh about now, but it was really serious back then. That raid was glitched for so long and never got touched. Crota running into the fucking safe room.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh. If it's a reworked Crota's End, I'd be very curious to see how it is and how it plays. I'm holding out hope that it's Wrath of the Machine and that I'm just wrong, but because I don't think there's any raid that would be more perfect to bring back for the 10th anniversary than Crota. I'm also like, I'm just kind of salty because Wrath is the one raid I've never truly finished. I'd really like a chance to get Wrath done. I'm certainly not going back to Destiny 1 to do it.
Do you think they bring that back? That would be the one they bring back for the 30th then?
Have to.
Yeah.
Have to. It's the last D1 raid to bring forward. It's the last real like major piece of content, I would argue, that needs to be brought forward.
Yeah, man, Wrath is really good too.
That's what I'm saying. Like I would love for Wrath to come forward. It's the one raid I haven't truly finished.
Oh,
Came within inches of it. Also, I just really want to see the Trace rifle because I'm pretty sure that would be the exotic.
I mean, the one that you made up like 2 years ago.
The one I made up 2 years ago, and I'm still clinging to that hope.
Oh man, the Death
It's
Zamboni.
funny, like the entire community was so set for like 2 years that we were getting Wrath this
I
year,
know.
and it's only been over like the last 2 or 3 months we've kind of realized, oh shit, we're probably not getting it.
Yeah,
We're getting 2 Hive seasons back to back,
yeah.
which is kind of a bummer. I mean, but it would cause it. It sounds like it's going to cause us to use the moon again. We haven't really done anything on the moon in years.
Yeah.
So cool, I guess. We can't keep using the EDZ for everything.
We could. You don't know.
We can't. I'm so tired of it. We're using this one part of like northern Germany for everything.
Oh man.
Corey, I think that does it for questions for tonight. Why
Yeah.
don't we get on that? This has been our longest episode in a hot minute.
Yeah, this is a beefy one. I think this is our longest episode since the the Lightfall campaign review.
I mean, the dungeon review went pretty long too.
Yeah, that's true.
We ranked all the dungeons.
Yeah. I'm looking it up now because now I'm curious.
Well, while Corey's looking that up, I'm going to take a minute to remind everybody that Tuesday, the showcase happens early in the morning. We are not going to live stream it. Rather, what we are going to do is myself, Nerd Generalist, and A1 Johnny, maybe Corey if he can sneak away from work, are going to gather around and do an emergency reacts to it. As soon as the main part of the showcase ends, we start.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to stick around and wait for the Q&A to be answered. Anything that comes up in the Q&A, either we'll have somebody on socials looking at that for us and sending it to me so we can discuss it, or it will just be addressed on Thursday. Thursday's episode is going to be really big. We're going to have the intro to the season. We're going to get, if Corey's not able to join us Tuesday, we're going to get his reactions to the showcase. We're going to go a little bit more in depth with some things after we've had some time to sit on it. We're going to talk that collector's edition. We're going to talk that artifact. We're going to talk some story. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be back in the swing of things.
Yeah.
And before our lives get completely destroyed on September 1st by not only a brand new reprised raid, but Starfield.
Yeah.
Despite the Starfield of it all, you guys can still expect and it being a holiday weekend, you can still expect a raid reacts to go up, depending on when I get my clear done, on either Sunday night or sometime during the day on Monday.
Yeah.
You guys can expect that. So on the 3rd or 4th of September, you can expect the raid reacts, and then we'll be back to our normally scheduled programming after that. But just the next couple of weeks are going to bring a lot of content.
Yeah. Josh, this is going to be our longest episode since our big beefy Destiny 2 Lightfall overview episode, which was 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
That was episode 131, which was what, like 30 weeks ago.
Jesus.
So. All right, Josh, let's get out of here.
Get me out of here, Corey. Yeah. I'm ready to go eat some dinner. It's 10 o'clock.
It is. It's 10 o'clock for you. It's 11 for me. It's time to get out of here.
Let's get on out of here.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Remember to check out Xbox Casuals, our sister show, our every other week Xbox podcast, if you want to learn about other games besides Destiny from an Xbox perspective, I suppose. Josh, thank you for your time tonight, as always. Where can we find you?
You can still find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn 2 N's. I'm in the Discord more and more, though. I'm honestly not using socials as much. It's just negativity and complaining all the time. So
the Mavericks, though, man.
Dude, the fucking Mavericks. Fucking Mavericks.
Oh man. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on social media platforms. Yeah, it's nice to get back in the swing of things. I'm gonna be playing more Destiny since I took most of the season off. So excited for that. You follow us on social media at Tower Casuals. Thank you for watching and or listening. Subscribe to YouTube, and we will see you on Monday. Goodbye.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Goodbye. That's what I said. Tuesday. Tuesday. Goodbye.